West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 2. So West Ham lost again. Goes from bad to worse. Cannot win a game at home to save their lives, can they? A 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. 4 losses and 5 for West Ham this season under Graham Potter. Is Potter clinging on? And no more than that. It's now 8 Premier League games without a home win. Crystal Palace have now won the same amount of games at the London Stadium this calendar year as West Ham have. But before the game, as many as 3,000 West Ham fans decided to protest, to show their anger. Not towards the players, but more specifically towards the ownership. And I'm delighted to say, West Ham fan and host of West Ham Fan TV, Dan Lawless, joins us live this morning. Dan, good morning. Am I right? Was about 3,000 showed up?
Yeah. There was about 3,000 fans showed up. I was one of them. It was a really good protest, very successful, very peaceful, and it just felt good. It felt like the old West Ham again, to be around passionate fans who love the club and who want positive change. So it was a good protest.
So that do this for me. Outline the specific reasons for the protest.
So when it comes to the protest, I think it's just become the breaking point. Fans have had enough of David Sullivan and want a change. He cannot be running the football club anymore, right? And the club is in decline. It's dying, as far as I'm concerned. We've had thousands and thousands of fans walk away from the stadium, don't want to go anymore, falling out of love with the club. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse unless something changes. And David Sullivan is not fit to run the club. Now, the way I look at it, there's 2 outcomes, right? Best case scenario, he sells up. That's what we want. We all want him to sell up and we want new ownership. However, and I know Simon will come in and say, well, it's unrealistic or whatever. If he is staying, at the very least, someone else has to run the football club and you're just the money. There needs to be a CEO, someone like that comes in and understands football to run the club. He is ill-equipped to run this football club.
Well, I tell you what, why not engage directly with Simon? You put that out there.
But I don't disagree with the idea that someone else should be running the football side. I've never been a great admirer of David's football acumen. Back in the day when I had Trevor Francis used to say that David Sullivan's way of buying a player was looking at the Rothman's guide. And so I entirely understand. But if David Sullivan is the money in the room, and you accept that he's the money in the room, whatever money you think that is, right, then bring a CEO in by all means, and he will defer to the money. And so the only way you will change the direction of travel, if that's what you really think that you need to do, starting from the fact that Sullivan did 2 things in my view that were wrong. One, he didn't move the stadium in a way that he could have moved it and made it more palatable to you guys. And 2, he opened his mouth and said, I'm going to make you a top 6 side, and then sold people like Dimitri Payet and never deployed the money and bought the kid in that from Norwich, the right winger from Norwich, Robert Snodgrass, yeah, and made those sort of things. And I get the reasons why. But the reality of it is that what I made an observation last week is not the fact that fans should not be able to protest. Of course you should be able to have your opinion. It's the balance of how far you go with that opinion. And when I saw people issuing ultimatums to the Rangers board saying, unless you get rid of the CEO now, unless you get rid of the manager now, we're going to do this. I think that's pushing it too far, but I don't deny the right for the most important part of the football framework, which is the fans and their emotion, to have their opinion. But when it comes down to it, how are you really going to change it?
So that's the question, Dan. How actually are you going to change it?
Well, listen, I think the protest is a really good start. And I know Sullivan has a very fragile ego and it hurts him. I know that because he comes out in the media time and time again, sometimes through you, Jim, and has to defend himself. And the way I look at it is with the protest, we could look at it and say to Newcastle fans, well, maybe they should have just shut up and just been happy with Mike Ashley and not protested. When you go and look at the Everton fans, maybe they should have been just happy with Mashiri. What about Villa fans with their owner previously? They all wanted change and they got change. This idea that we should be careful what we wish for because of what happened to Birmingham nearly 20 years ago is ridiculous. We have the fit and not proper owners checks now. What happened to Birmingham is very unlikely to happen. Not say it's impossible, but just because that happened to them doesn't mean we shouldn't try and affect change. Now, I believe that there is an appetite for Sullivan to sell. Right, I've heard there's an appetite. However, he's pricing the club way beyond what any reasonable person would buy for it. That's like 800 million. We're not worth that. We don't own our stadium. And so to me, yeah, we can talk about someone owning the football operations. For me, he has to go.
I see where you're going with that, Dan. You're looking at the likes of Newcastle and you think, Ashley's gone. The Saudis are in. We'd love that. You're looking at the likes of Everton. Farhad's gone. The Friedkin Group's in. We'd love that. That's what you're doing. You're looking at what's going on elsewhere and you think, we've got to get into a situation like that.
Yeah. What every other club, when I look at it, has what we don't have. Everton moved stadiums. They have a purpose-built football stadium.
Yeah.
So did Tottenham. He came in with the intention of moving us out of our home to rent an athletic stadium that's not fit for purpose.
Well, same as Man City then. So Man City were fortunate enough, and there was a whole raft of... I find myself in a terrible position because I don't want to defend David Sullivan. I think it's well established my views on him, but it's not just as straightforward as you'd like to make it out. Most of the football clubs in London, if they got an opportunity to have taken that stadium, they would have taken that stadium.
Would you have?
Yeah, but I would have bedded it in properly with the fans. I wouldn't have allowed this crap to go on in terms.
You would have taken Palace from
No. If the National Sports Centre at Crystal Palace, the National Sports Centre was there available to me in the same sort of vicinity, I would have done it. I wouldn't have taken them across to East London. No. But you look at
wait, you would have moved Palace, Simon, if say that same stadium was in South London, right? And exactly how it is, not built for football. Remember, Seb Coe made sure, he said, I do not want it to be built for football. You would have moved out of Selhurst Park into that soulless...
Yeah, but Sebastian Coe doesn't own the stadium. The London Development Federation does. So with due respect to what it was built for.
So it was built. Yeah.
So what happened?
He had an influence.
I agreed.
And his point is it was an athletic stadium.
So what was the Commonwealth Stadium in Manchester then? When Man City moved from Main Road to Manchester?
They've adapted it.
Well, yeah, that's my point. That's what I would have potentially done with these guys. I would have found a bridge and made that bridge more palatable for everyone to walk across, so that I didn't have to listen to this particular noise.
Even I, as a neutral, when I go and do games and do co-con and stuff, going to West Ham is the poorest one in terms of atmosphere and intensity. It's like it doesn't feel like you're.
And you're so far from the playing area. And the fans have a very difficult view of what they want to watch.
Just out of curiosity, do you see, and I'm playing devil's advocate for the purpose of this conversation, because I'm loath to see, I don't know what you think, I'm loath to see every single football club in this country owned by overseas investment with the motivations that are not about football. They're about something they want in return from it, either financial gain or recognition or credibility for a nation state investment. Is this really what you want for your club? You want it to be owned by some faceless overseas entity that somewhere along the line will not please you? Is that the alternative? Anybody but Sullivan?
Well, I'm getting to the point where it's anyone but Sullivan. I'm not necessarily got an appetite where it has to be an overseas entity. But I look at David Sullivan and what makes him any different, except he doesn't have the funds. He doesn't have the best interest of the club at heart. He has his best interest at heart. Because tell me how moving to the stadium has benefited West Ham and not just David Sullivan. You'll bring up the Conference League trophy. I'll bring up your ticket.
I'll bring up your ticket pricing because your ticket pricing is very competitive. By the way, when you talk about your club not being worth a certain amount of money, Palace's value is 600 million quid. Do you think Palace were a bigger club than you?
Well, Everton went for cheaper. Everton went for cheaper than 800 million pounds. You own your ground.
Distressed asset. Oh yeah, come off it. I mean, we both know that Selhurst Park is no Palace, is it? I was there for 10 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
Still a great spot.
It's still land.
Okay, so what's Lambworth then? So is it a hotel building complex that you want then? It's the football team in the Premier League. The only value that West Ham has a significant brand and Newcastle has a significant brand is being in the Premier League. If Newcastle were languishing in the Championship, no one would have bought them for 300 million quid. It's the value of the Premier League.
And we're barely in the Premier League thanks to David Sullivan's ownership, Simon.
Do you think you're going to stay up with what you've got? Do you think you're going to stay up?
Listen, I think we have players there to keep this club up. I think there's an 11 there that's good enough to stay up. However, I just look at the manager currently. I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he's kind of lost in terms of finding an alternative. I don't think he's the manager you want when your back's against the wall.
So Dan, to finish with,
I've heard him say that.
Do you want Potter out and then the club sold?
Well, yeah. Ultimately, that's the two outcomes.
Would you be saying that if you were played 5-1-5?
Of course not.
Yeah, well, when I look at it, it's not just played. Yeah, if we played 5-1-5, would I want the club sold? Is that what you was asking? So I didn't hear the full
Both
question.
of these things. Do you have faith in Potter, regardless of recent results? Have they been doing reasonably well? Would you back him, or would you still want to move on? And do you want the club sold no matter what?
Yeah, listen, I don't have faith in Potter based on some of his decision making in games. I want the club sold no matter what, because for me, the big sticking point has been the move to the stadium, and what they've done is unforgivable. I just did a video in June why I gave up my season ticket. I've walked away from the stadium. I had hundreds and hundreds of comments from fans, heartbreaking comments. People going since the 50s, 60s, 70s that walked away from West Ham.
Okay.
29,000, it was reported, season ticket holders walked away as of February.
Okay, Dan.
Now we're getting to Upton Park capacity, have left West Ham. It's not the same. We've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United fans over there, week in, week out. It is unforgivable.
It's a sad state of
what they've done to
affairs,
Bristol
Dan.
Soul.
Dan Lawless, thank you for joining us. West Ham fan, of course, and host of West Ham Fan TV. No longer a season ticket holder, as he said. We'll look at more of that after this.
So there you have it. My head-to-head with Simon Jordan and Jim White on TalkSport discussing the protests. And do you know what? I do so many of these. I've been going on TalkSport since 2017, right? Been on Overlap, been on Skype, whatever, right? Never been nervous. For this one, I was nervous. First time on Simon Jordan and Jim White's show. I got asked late last night, Hammers United, passed it on to me. And it was just that overwhelming just fear of just letting people down. I knew it would be probably the most combative show, the most I'd be challenged. And there was just that overwhelming fear of, letting people down. Oh, you made us look bad or whatever. And, I never want to do that. And so I went into it and was just like, okay, these are my points. This is what I'll make. I didn't want to come across like I was representing the fan at Hammers United and I'm speaking directly for them and what they're doing, why they're doing. They asked me about why the protests, and everyone's got their reason for protesting. Ultimately, we want change, and that's why I mentioned some people may be happy with Sullivan staying and at least that, and someone else running the club. Personally, for me, like I said, he's got to go regardless. It was that weird question at the end, Simon Jordan, that threw me off of like, if he wins 5 games, would you want Potter out? Would you want the owners out? I was like, wait, what did you say? What did I want? If he wins 5 games in a row, I wouldn't want Potter out because he would show that he's a competent manager, but we haven't won 5 games. But I would want Sullivan out. That was the kind of the point. So there was a lot of stuff like I wanted to say. There's so much. This is the thing. There was so much to say about Sullivan and his ownership, and you have such a short window to try and get everything across, and you can't get everything across. You need to just try and get the main stuff. But the lies, the fact that the sightlines would be comparable to Upton Park, a world-class team for a world-class stadium, the 10-point pledge promises, it's endless. And like I said, it is unforgivable. The apathy that came was really creeping into this fan base, and people just walking. I speak to so many fans online, on the streets, talk to me, and just say, I've fallen out of love with it. Like, I don't want to go anymore. My kids don't want to go anymore. I go still to see mates, family. It is heartbreaking. And this is what people who aren't West Ham don't understand. They think it's just about results on the pitch. It's so much more than that. They've taken something away from us that didn't need to be taken. Like I said to them, we didn't need to move to this stadium to win a thing. I tried to, and there was a few times and I don't know whether he changed his opinion, but I wanted to preempt Simon, because as I'm saying stuff, it's like I almost know his response. So I'm like, here's your response before you respond. He's like, no, I wasn't going to say that. And then him saying that about moving stadium. Oh yeah, I would move Palace there. And I was like, wait a minute. So you would move Palace from Selhurst Park, traditional ground, to a soulless athletics? But well, no, we'd have to make structural changes. And I'm like, okay, well, things that we didn't do. So you want to excuse it, and there's things that we haven't done it. So you would do things differently to Sullivan. So you can't complain that we're complaining. This is the last. This is it. Like, I feel like it's protest or give up. Like, the option of just clapping along and being a good fan, rain or shine, is gone. To have, I would say comfortably, probably 35,000. I'm being general. I don't know. I haven't got the numbers of who walked away this summer, but I did read it was 29,000 in Feb. So I'd comfortably say 35,000 this summer. So let's say that, right? It could be more, it could be slightly less, but around 35,000, right? Let's be conservative with it. Walked away, have left and stopped going to West Ham. This is the other thing that I wanted to say, is that would never happen at Upton Park. We have been shit, right? For most of my life at times, right? We've gone through seasons where we've struggled, where we've had relegation battles, where we've been relegated. Never did you see mass group of fans not renewing their season ticket. Fans stayed through the good times and the bad times. I never even heard people go, I want to stop coming here. He was getting battered under Avram Grant every week. We were selling out in the Championship. Fans were still going. Why? Because they loved West Ham and it was their match day experience. They enjoyed going regardless of the results, because it's so much more. Football is so much more than the 90 minutes in your seat. And they took that away from us. And now the fact that you see so many fans walk away is damning. It's an indictment on Sullivan, not the fans. There's so much fan blame that goes around. Remember when we was good in COVID, right? It was because the fans weren't there. And now, we come back, well, it's because the fans are unhappy. That's why we're doing poor. The fans aren't supporting you. Let's say we boycott Brentford and we lose. Well, it's because the fans weren't there. You can never win. The fan blame needs to stop. He looks at us as customers, right? We're customers to them. The customer is always right. Remember that. It's like me doing YouTube and blaming people for not wanting to watch my videos. If people don't want to watch my videos, well, that's my problem and I need to fix it. If people don't want to go to West Ham, that's Sullivan's problem and he needs to fix it. And right now, the only way he can fix it is by leaving. He's massively incompetent and unfit. So look, listen, there's so much to say. My head's still spinning a bit from that. So yes, there'll be more videos on these things and we're going to keep pushing. So listen, I want to say a massive thank you once again to Hammers United for sending me that. They're doing amazing work. You can go check them out. Hammers United really are doing a wonderful job. So the next thing is the Brentford game. Boycott that Monday Night Football. If there's ever a time to not go, it's this game. Go to a pub, support your local pub, meet up with your mates, watch the game, right? And then it goes into the Burnley protest, which is going to be a good one. Let's just keep it up. And I tell you, I had such a great time at that protest. It done me good to see that the real West Ham is still alive there. So listen, thanks for watching, and like I said, subscribe and like and all that YouTube stuff, because there's going to be more stuff coming out. So and give it a share if you think someone else will enjoy it. Thank you for watching.